Jeremy and Joe, good morning. Thanks for joining us here on WGR. We're going to go to the Western Hotline and go to Cleveland. Jeff Phelps, postgame host for the Browns Radio Network and midday host at 92.3 The Fan, to talk to us about Garrett and the Browns. Jeff, good morning. It's Jeremy and Joe. Thanks for taking some time today.
Hello, guys. You're not getting Wyatt Teller and Corey Bojorquez back. I'm sorry.
All right. How about
I would take Teller back.
About
He's pretty
Myles
good.
for you're not getting Teller and Bojorquez.
Okay. Well, maybe the Wyatt Teller thing went so well that the Browns can consider some future considerations and cut the Bills a deal. Jeff, with regard to Garrett, it feels like the official Garrett letter is the final piece of, is he going to get traded? This speculation had been there for quite some time.
He had talked about it, guys. He had thrown it out there, and not that he had requested a trade, but there was talk, that he might want to do such a thing. And after 8 seasons here, that was maybe his thinking. The letter was obviously a well choreographed event. It was released, came out at 11 o'clock, and a lot of folks had it, and a lot of national folks already had stories written up about it. So it was something that was clearly choreographed. There's only one issue here. He has a 2-year contract, 2 years left on his contract, and the Browns don't have to trade him. So, we all know how this can go, but he does have 2 years left on his contract. He makes good money, and the Browns like him. So we'll see where it goes. Browns, as you guys heard Mike Garafolo say there, Browns have said, "Yep, that's great. We're not trading you." That can change. We all know how everything can change.
Does that come down to how aggressive of a reset/rebuild there is? I mean, the Browns are kind of in a spot that few other teams get to when you get this high in the draft and this much money tied up in a quarterback that has gone so wrong. What's the general idea for the way out for the Browns?
The way out of what, Myles?
Out of where they're stuck. I guess it's all comes back to Watson, right? Like, so much money committed to a player that is. I mean, you're hamstrung on a lot of levels, and I feel like Garrett wants out in large part because he probably feels they're kind of dead at quarterback for a while.
I would think that's the case, except for one thing. Just because you have to pay him doesn't mean you have to play him. And a lot of the rumbling, around our town is that, okay, he's got the torn Achilles anyway, and then he re-injured it, and he's had another surgery. It's unlikely that he's actually even physically ready to play next year. So they will have another quarterback. We all know how many quarterbacks are out there right now. There are tons of veteran quarterbacks. There's one in Atlanta who might need a job after his cut and is getting paid by another team. So there are a lot of guys that they could bring in here to play quarterback next year. The bottom line, though, you're right. They've got to pay Deshaun. There are cap implications if they trade Myles Garrett, too. So if you have two great, big, huge, cap things on your slate there, you're in trouble. So there will, if by chance they decide to move Myles, and if he, still wants to be traded, I would think that there are huge cap implications that they'd have to deal with.
Jeff, Myles Garrett, Defensive Player of the Year, I mean, on his way to being a first-ballot Hall of Famer. As a player, as a teammate, as a person in the community, like, where does this player rank for you? Should every team, of course, be knocking down the door for him?
If I'm a general manager, I'm making a phone call. And, the Browns have said that phone call will be answered with a, thanks, we're not interested in trading him. But he's been terrific in the community, guys. He's gotten better since he's been here. The only thing you might be able to say poorly about Myles is that the Browns should have taken Patrick Mahomes instead. Other than that, I don't know what you could say.
Yeah. Is he on the level, would you say he's the best pass rusher kind of this generation, or at least up there with T.J. Watt?
He's one of them, guys. Think of TJ, think of JJ. There are some. He's upper echelon. How's that? I can't tell you of one better, but to sit here and tell you that he's the absolute best, I couldn't tell you that either. But he's really good, and he obviously impacts every game he plays in because offenses scheme to stop him.
Do you feel like the Browns, I mean, what their best case scenario might be right now? Because as you mentioned, like they don't want to trade him, but he's got 2 years left on the contract. Do you feel like their best case scenario is what? That they would fix quarterback or without Watson being on the field and kind of show him within 2 years, like, okay, you want to win a Super Bowl, you want to be on a contending team, that we have done the job to prove that to you over 2 years? Do you feel like that's kind of maybe their number one goal right now?
I'm not sure what they're thinking. I would just say this. He's 29 years old. He'll be 30 next December. So, he clearly has some prime time left. But he has 2 years left on his contract. I would think when his contract is up, then there would have to be a mutual decision if he's still here. Do you want to come back? Do you not want to come back? I don't think teams break the bank for 31-year-old, 32-year-old pass rushers who have been in the league for over 10 years. Those are the guys who get that one-year contract here and then go to the next one-year contract there. So I don't think they're trying to prove anything to him. He's under contract. I would assume he's under contract for 2 years. Come play, and this is our situation. If it changes, if the Browns got a great offer, if they sat down with Myles and decided, you know what, we should trade you, whatever, then that's what they would do. But I don't think they're on the clock to prove anything to Myles. I mean, he signed the contract, so. Now, he cannot show up, but that also means you cannot get paid. But guys make so much money, I would assume he's got some money in the bank, right?
Yeah.
So he could play that route if he wanted to. But honestly, guys, I don't think they have anything to prove to him. Now, did the team make the playoffs this year? Nope. Did they make it the year before? Yep. But that doesn't do you any good right now when you're, the defensive player of the year and you're 29 years old and you want to win. So I get all that, but you're under contract. They're trying to do some things to win some football games. And I would think that they mean what they say when they don't want to trade him. On the other hand, we were kicking around on our show yesterday. Boy, how about this trade scenario? How about this one? If they decided to move him, you could get healthy real quick. You could get a lot of picks. You could get some players that might help you with everything. Browns have the second pick in the draft already. Now, I saw one. We threw out one idea. Mike Vrabel was just with the Browns as a consultant. He's now in New England. They have the 4th and 38th picks. ESPN in their mock had them taking the defensive tackle from Michigan and then Jack Sawyer, the defensive end from Ohio State, with their 1st and 2nd rounds. And the Browns need a quarterback. They have Joe Milton sitting there, a developmental guy. Browns could draft, let's say Abdul Carter's there at 2. They get Carter, the defensive tackle out of Michigan, Jack Sawyer. You bring in 3 young defensive linemen in the top 38 picks, and you get a developmental quarterback if you sign a veteran. I mean, that changes things in a hurry, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there could be some great options out there in a trade if the Browns decided to do that.
Jeff Phelps, 92.3 The Fan and Browns Radio Network. Jeff, thanks very much, and we'll be, of course, paying attention to what happens with Garrett from here on out.
No teller, no Bajorquez. I'm telling you.
Thank you.
See you guys.